Say hey everybody, welcome back to the Leadoff on SorareMLB. I'm Alex Hooper. Gonna be breaking away from the normal style of these videos. Less highlights today. Those videos take me about 2-3 hours to put together normally for 10 minutes, and I simply don't have the time today. But luckily we have a ton of great questions and a lot of questions on the free-to-play version of SorareMLB. So I'm going to answer those today, a couple of them, and then also a ton more great questions. We're going to answer those on Friday on our first pitch live before lock show. Yes, we are back live before lock. It's an early lock on Friday, so we're going to go ahead and get out in front of it. Of course, got to plug the Patreon. Patreon.com/SorareMLB. $5 for projections per month, $10 per month for projections and our pricing values, the upcoming app, and the invaluable Discord with all of our experts. The guy currently winning Unique Pro and a chance to take batting practice at the All-Star game, not to jinx it, Bob. He is in the Discord and is very active, and that's just one of many very brilliant minds in there. And I'm not talking about myself. A lot of great winners in that Discord. So join up whenever you can. I know we're going to talk about free-to-play today, but $5 for the projections. If you know how to use them, they will help you along if that's something that you are interested in. Also, this is the final day of our Aaron Civale giveaway. We're taking submissions through this video as well, and we will give away the Aaron Civale Limited tomorrow on First Pitch live before lock. So again, drop any content ideas, any questions you want to hear about, and any players you want to know more about, any players you want me to touch on, drop those in the comments here, and you will get another submission to the Aaron Civale giveaway. All right, just a couple of housekeeping notes before we get into the free-to-play stuff. A couple of notes around the league. Fernando Tatis 3 for 4 yesterday against the Guardians, 2 doubles and a home run. Fernando Tatis Jr., if you are not aware, is probably close to being on the level of Ronald Acuna Jr. Tatis is 1 year younger than Ronald Acuna, but has a similar upside. I'm not going to sit here and tell you to go out and buy Fernando Tatis at his current price, but he's a fantastic player, and if you're looking for elite values, he's probably the youngest in that tier up with Ronald Acuna Jr., or at least barely a tier below. So always recommending Fernando Tatis as long as he's not suspended. Nolan Jones now hitting leadoff for the Rockies. He's got over a 1,000 OPS in a very small sample. I'm still keeping my eye on him. Matt McLain with another homer for the Reds. $18 for his limited, $78 for his rare. I'm just going to go ahead and press the buy button at this point. The sample size isn't huge, but he's young and he's clearly going to be a very solid player in the future. Yuri Perez, the top prospect for the Marlins, threw a gem last night. 6 innings pitched, 2 hits, 6 strikeouts, $15 for his limited, $40 for his rare. He's got consistently good batted ball numbers through his first few starts. And oh yeah, he is 20 years old. 20. I think for $40, that's a pretty good investment. On the negative side, Geraldo Perdomo, 3 for 4 last night. He's got great, splits. He's got a great slash line, but his StatCast numbers look horrible. I am not buying the hype there. So those are the news and notes. Just to touch on a couple players before we get into some free-to-play stuff. So let's pull up my common gallery. First question I got from multiple people was about your common swaps. If you look at my team here, these are some solid names. There's my Tatis, Matt Olson, Yordan Alvarez, Trey Turner, Jose Ramirez, guys like that. As for how I do swaps, I know someone mentioned in a comment section recently, do you target swapping high-end pitchers for high-end hitters? And the answer to that is yes. Because hitters have a higher ceiling and a higher standard deviation in scoring, I do aim to have elite hitters before I aim to have elite pitching. What having elite pitching is going to do is raise your floor a little bit and barely raise your ceiling. So, if you have someone like, Garrett Cole or Spencer Strider, which is a bad example right now because he is reeling a little bit in his last 2 starts, if you have a really good starter like that, you can kind of bank on 25 to 30 points generally. But, their high end on a good night is 50, 55, which you love out of your starting pitching. But when you're looking at hitters who, I mean, JT Realmuto is putting up an 100 this week. I mean, that's double. So it makes sense to have the best hitters and the hitters with the best possibility to just pop off. So like that's why if you go through here, like Mookie Betts is a tier 1, Corbin Carroll's a tier 1, Musgrove's a tier 3, Castillo's a tier 2, Valdez is a 2, Tatis is a 1. Rodriguez is probably a 3 or 4. Cease is probably a 3. Waka is a 4. He used to be. Olson's a 1. Alvarez is a 1. Mullins is a 2. Turner's a 1. Ramirez is a 1. And then Woodruff is a 2, but he's been hurt. So I do prioritize high-end hitters in common and free to play more than I target those pitchers because I know these guys could, maybe they're not going to get me 30 every week, but if I pick the right matchup, I'm still looking at it like a 30 to 35, and that's helpful. Do you need a 55 to, really win good prizes in free to play? Probably, but if you want to build up your elite hitters, then you can start with kind of middle of the road pitchers or, above average pitchers and just catch a good matchup and maybe get a good game that propels you up a tier or something like that. And that kind of touches on Marcus's question, how to structure a common gallery, how the strategy changes for commons and what competitions to prioritize. The last part I'll get to in a second, but I do want to kind of do a mock swap really quick. If you want to know what tier a player is in, this is how you do it. You go to the upcoming tab. You go to, so we're talking about common. So we'll look at rewards here. And then, all right, who's in tier 1? These are all the tier 1s. Next week. If you drop it to tier 2, here's all the tier 2s. So why this is important to know is if you're trading in a player in a certain tier, the swaps are going to come in that same tier or right about. Like if you try to trade in a tier 3 pitcher, you're not going to get the option of a tier 1 pitcher instead. So this is kind of your key to know what you might get during a swap if you just look in here. So going back to my gallery, let's look at who I might want to swap. I could cash in on Corbin Carroll, but I've been talking about pitching. So Luis Castillo, Framber Valdez are both fine. I think I know my answer here, and I think it's Brandon Woodruff because he's been hurt for a really long time. Now I have other good pitchers. He was a tier 2, but he's not going to be in that tier 2 prize. So I guess let's just look at it and see what happens because, like, I can guarantee you if I try to swap in Trey Turner, then I'm going to get tier 1s in return, unless he did drop the tier 2. I'm going to check again really quick. Okay, yeah, he's in tier 1. So, like, more than likely, I'm looking at other tier 1s. And it's probably going to be on the low end, like Yoshida and Gallen. I don't know what Turner's going for, but, like, you can check that out on Sorare data and see where the pricing is, and that's kind of what you can expect. Josh Young probably would be in that swap as well, depending on, what position I picked. All right, let's try and swap Woodruff. There he is. Okay. So yeah, I'm going to try and swap a starting pitcher and see what else I can get. And I'm actually going to bring up that tier 2 list again and see, like, positionally, like, if I could get Aaron Nola, that's a fine swap. Adley Rutschman would be cool. A couple of good outfielders. Brian Reynolds I'd love. Duvall would be a high-end reliever, but I already have Felix Bautista, so I don't feel like I need to do that. Outfield does look pretty strong here. Jorge Soler is great. Machado, Chapman, Castellanos, another outfielder. Ozzie Albies in the middle. So yeah, there are some good middle infielders here, but then the next thing that I have to do is go back to my gallery and figure out what I actually need. Okay, so my outfielders. I have Carroll, Betts, Tatis, Arozarena, Mullins, and Alvarez. So that's, 4 tier 1s and 2 tier 2s. I don't really need an outfielder. Middle infield, I have Betts and Murphy and Turner. Okay. And then at corner infield, I have Ramirez, Steer, and Olson. So I'm going to go for the middle infield. I'm going to go for the corner infield here and try to build a little more depth at that position. But let's see what actually comes up when I swap out Brandon Woodruff here. Okay, so yeah, these are about the guys that I expected. There's Soler, can play both. I love Christian Walker. This is actually interesting. Oh, sorry, I'm not sharing this tab. There you go. Now you can see the players that I'm being offered. So there is another step to this that I will show you. What I'm going to do now is go to the Sorare FP spreadsheet and look at season-long projections and see which of these 5 project the highest the rest of the season. So here's that. Here are some free rest of the season projections for you. All right, so let's check these players all out. I will say I'm a little inclined to go with Christian Walker because, 1, I love Christian Walker, and 2, he forms a mini stack with Corbin Carroll. And I believe they would hit back-to-back in the lineup, 3-4. I would have to check that, but it's not that important to me. I won't do it right now. Jorge Soler is probably my second favorite here. So I'm going to type in Anthony Santander. 680 rest of season. That's in this column right here. Christian Walker. Jordan Walker. 680. Just, 1 point ahead. So Walker over Santander for sure. Nathaniel Lau is lower. Rizzo is lower. Soler is higher. So Soler does have the multi-positional eligibility, and he does hit dingers. So, yeah, these are the 2 guys I thought I would be looking at. The other thing I do look for on this spreadsheet is I have the homers and stolen bases projected. They are lit up, so I'm going to look at Walker. 16.5 projected home runs the rest of the year. 1 stolen base, which isn't a surprise. And then Soler, 18 homers and 0.5 stolen bases. So I'm going to go with Walker. Honestly, it's a toss-up, but I like it. There you go. So that's that. Christian Walker's my pick. So that's generally the thought process I use for some of this stuff. So getting back to Marcus's question, and then we'll get out of here. How the strategy changes for commons, I'm not sure how anything changes. I think that's dependent on the competitions to prioritize. So in your first week, I know you can compete in the prospect competition, which is only against new folks. You only use common cards. Then you move up to minors. If you haven't played a limited competition, then you can play in minors, but it's still only common cards and you can win limited. So you can just keep playing minors until you win limiteds. I think that's fine. In majors, if you still haven't played in a limited competition, you can use at least 1 limited card, and they get huge bonuses. So I do think it's smart to buy 1 or 2 limiteds and play in majors. If you want to stay clean, if you just want to win your first limited, then that's fine. Grind out minors, and projections can help you with that. But there are some really solid cheap cards you can get and play in majors. For example, if you have like $20 to blow, you can get yourself a Kyle Schwarber or an Alex Bregman, and both of those players with a 40% bonus could absolutely shoot you up the leaderboards, and then you get to just re-enter them over and over and over. So it's a decent investment for just $20. If you want to go even cheaper than that, Miles Straw will cost you $1.60, and Trent Grisham will cost you about $2.80. And these players are guys who are projected to score decently the rest of the season. I mean, Miles Straw is going to make most of his hay on the base path, so if he gets a single, he'll probably steal a base, and 5 points turns into 7.5, and it's going to be a little more helpful than some of those common cards, but you still want to play your best ones. And if you don't want to deposit, $20 plus or any amount of cash on the platform, you can use a card to buy these cards at auction, and I don't think they'd be difficult to win at all. I don't think anyone's going to be outbidding you a ton for a Trent Grisham or Miles Straw auction. So yeah, those are my thoughts on free to play for now. If I didn't answer a question, or if you have a follow-up question, that's a good way to get an entry into the Aaron Savali giveaway. Just drop it in the chat below, drop it in the comments, and I will answer it as soon as possible. Probably tomorrow on our Live Before Lock show. That's going to do it for the leadoff today. I'm Alex Hooper. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you, everyone, for their questions. If I haven't answered your question yet, again, just ask it, and I will try and get to it on Friday. If not, it'll be a part of a leadoff show in the future, I promise. Until then, I'll talk to you.